I was trying to limit this slide presentation, so I didn't put the Gold King stats in there. But we did have good visitation on that. We were hoping it would be better with getting it up online early on Friday morning. And this is to continue to be a learning, lessons for us of how our audience is going to consume us. If you saw the website that morning, it was a homepage takeover, which means the very first time anybody went to DurangoHerald.com, the Gold King website was on top of it, and then you could X out of it to go back to regular DurangoHerald.com. So that was right in their face. So they had the option of clicking around in the Gold King site, or they had an option of ignoring it. More people ignored it than we would have liked to, but there was no tragedy or puppies or kittens, so it's not atypical for people to do that. We had roughly 5,000 page views over the weekend on the whole on that page, that Gold King page. So we would hope that it would be better, but that's good. Certainly better than our weekend traffic that we get just on our regular website when we pushing content on the weekend when our readers seem to be out enjoying the reason they live here. So thanks, as Richard said, to everybody for their contributions. We did some extra stuff this time. Luke did a great job in getting information for the map database. So you could click on the pin for the Bonita Peak Mining District and get some information there. There were some videos. There were lots of good stories, including A&E, opinion, some news stories, some looking back, some looking ahead. And if you paid any attention to what other media outlets were doing for the 1-year anniversary, we did far and away better than anybody else. And people generally did one-story hits, which is fine because they're not local. That's whether it be the Denver Post, Colorado Public Radio, NPR. So we owned the story last year, and we owned it at 6-month anniversary, and we owned it at the 1-year anniversary, and that's exactly how it should be. So thanks to everybody who wrote, contributed, edited, designed, published, all of that. So what I want to do, we had the big meeting in May about our declining online readership for the Herald, and we had a big call to action about the things that we need to do to reverse that, because increasingly more readers see our content online than they do in print, and that is why we have to spend more time online. And at that time when I said if you're spending 30%, more than 30% on the print edition, you're spending too much on it. And we have some things coming up that are going to help us be better. So I just want to look back at where we were in a bit of a free fall, an uncomfortable free fall that was anxiety provoking. And thank you to Claudia for helping me really dig into the numbers and figure out what was going on. And I trust her math, even though she's a journalist. So I'm going to tell you some of the wins we've had since that meeting. I'm going to tell you what I'd like you to do going forward. A lot of this is going to be repetitive, but I need to repeat it because we're still not there. I heard through the grapevine somebody said Amy's going to be looking at the website and commenting all the time while she's gone. I'll read your news. I have completely unlinked myself from everything Herald so that I can focus fully on my fellowship. I will tell you that I will be among 13 fellows in Ann Arbor, 3 of them international, some pretty big international journalists, one of whom is responsible for breaking the Panama Papers. And the reason I'm telling you that is because the house where all the fellows hang out now has a subscription to the Durango Herald. So your work will be seen by a bunch of people for the next year.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can perform, and hopefully they'll look at the website too. So I'm going to talk about some things I'd like to keep happening, and wrap it up and say goodbye. So the first most important thing is, who's the boss? Sue. is taking over and will be the boss of the Durango Herald and Pine River Times. Her direct reports will be Mark, John Livingston, Jerry, and Melanie. And she will then the regular desk structure after that. Claudia has taken over Adventure Pro, and so she will lead the charge there with Brandon, and David Hollab will report to Doug for DGO and continue the efforts there. So in my absence, those are the people you go to. And I make a sincere plea to all of you to recognize that these people are taking on some, especially Sue. David has been doing the work and Claudia's been doing that work, but Sue's got a lot on her hands, and I implore you to make her life easy. I trust you to be kind, but I need to trust you to work with her and do what she asks. I don't have 1 ounce of trepidation or nervousness, or I have complete confidence in Sue. She's a veteran journalist, and I've sent her probably 27 emails last night with everything she needs to know. I sent her the final one at 1:15 a.m. as I left the office, telling her that's the last one. What I did not put in parentheses, it was meant that it was the last one last night. So more to come. So that is, does anybody have any questions about that? Who reporting to who and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, Mary?
So, is she still?
She's still, yes, she will still edit. She will still oversee the reporters. Yep, all of that. I trust you not to talk
Basically, she's Superwoman.
that. Yes.
Dead in 6 months.
Yeah, that's right.
In which case, if she does die, y'all figure out who's going to take over.
Funeral will be well attended.
Funeral will be well attended. Yes. I'll come back for that. I have no intention of being back in Durango for the next 9 or 10 months. But if Sue dies, if you kill her, let me know. We had the meeting on May 26th, and we estimated on May 31st we would be down 400,000 page views over the same time last year. And that's huge, 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 precipitous, dangerous drop that is not good, not sustainable for our future. You all heard, again, reiterate, you all heard at that time what we need to do to reverse this. We're only seeing this trend on the Herald, the Pine River Times, and the Cortez Journal are going in the opposite direction. They are succeeding and continuing to get page views and be where they need to be. So even though the next few slides I'm going to show you where we have some wins, I don't want you to forget that, because if I return next May and that number is there, let me think of the threat. I'll get back to you. So here were some wins for the past couple of months. In June, we were up to 1.7 million page views. That's up about 400,000. What? 300,000. So that puts us on par with June last year. Excellent. We were at 1.6 million page views in July. Again, on par with July of 2015. Excellent. Our August goal will be 1.6 million. How we're trending right now, we might make it, but let's make it. Because if we start going this other way, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. It's really, really good if we get there. We've seen a steady and incrementally increasing unique users after having seen that steady decline since almost a year ago. I mean, we had that fake boost with the Gold King mine last August. So we're going in the right direction, and let's keep it up. I think we can do it. Journal and Pine River Times continue to see significant growth on their websites. Pine River Times especially seeing significant traffic from Facebook instant articles, getting that out there. Anybody have any questions? Did you all, after the last meeting we talked about Facebook instant articles, did anybody go and find out what they are? Does anybody have any questions about what they are and why we even talk about this? Okay.
And when she says big wins, 1/3 of the traffic to Pine River Times last month came from Facebook Insta articles. That's huge.
Significant. Yeah. Really big. DGO, not even a year old, is averaging almost 17,000 page views a month, going up and up. Facebook referrals account for 1/3 of their traffic. They do social media really well. Anya's got it down with some assist from David and Brittany, the people downstairs. So they're growing. Adventure Pro is getting better every time, content every time that they post. The Killer Weekend video story about Aztec, which I forgot to put what that was in there, went viral with 4,000 views, 660 video views, and 164 shares on Facebook. These are not numbers that the Herald even sees. So, excellent job to Trent and his team, and Melanie and Carol and David and Anya and Brandon and Claudia. So why did we see that boost? We're updating stories more often, and we're doing it earlier in the day. We're noticing where our traffic and when our traffic is coming, and we're giving it to them. And they know, we're starting to teach them that once we put a story out there on our news sites, that they can come back and they can get more. And so that is a really important piece of letting them know how they can consume our news. We're consistent with those updates. We've started rotating the homepage centerpiece story throughout the day, which is why for all people with section editors, whether it's whatever section you oversee, why I'm harping on the centerpieces being done a day before, and not thinking just about print, but getting those ready so that we can put the homepage on the DurangoHerald.com centerpiece. We can put fresh content in there so that people will see that we are pushing content. Because one of the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the pieces of feedback I get from people when they look at our website is that they're seeing old content. They go in, they see, look at a section, not the local news section, but another feature section, and they don't see that content has been updated for a week. So to them, they're saying, why should I come back? That will change a little bit with the new makeup of the website that is supposed to launch the 1st of October, because we'll have fewer sections on the website. So that's going to help us. Our SEO headlines are improving. You all know what that is. It helps us with our visibility for search. Where those SEO headlines, we have better keywords at the beginning, middle, and end of them. We're using more long tail keywords in those SEO headlines. And we are doing better at sending breaking news alerts when to get the news out there when we want people to. We reserved, when we started doing this last year, we kind of reserved it for really specific things like road closures, things that that were just really the biggest news that affected people, mostly people's driving. But we have really gained a lot of people who have signed up for the breaking news text alerts. I don't know if we're gaining as much for email alerts, but those breaking news text alerts we had last year, we had about this time we had just barely over 100. We're at 600 and something now.
700 something now.
700 and something now.
And I anticipate with the new website, the sign up for the email alerts is a lot easier. So I anticipate we'll start to see that number soar. It's at 5,000 for the breaking alerts right now.
Yeah. So we're doing good at identifying what news we think people will want to get traffic instead of just being a road closure or an avalanche or something catastrophic. Social wins, our Facebook strategy is working and putting content out there. We're seeing more than 120,000 page views per session, 120,000 session per month via Facebook coming in that way. We're getting Instagram. Jerry and Sean have really kicked it into gear with Instagram and doing some good photos. If you're not following them on Instagram, they're doing a good job with that and having some creative fun and doing a good job with the descriptions and the hashtags too. We're seeing social wins because reporters are tweeting more. Thank you to everybody who did the assignment, turned in the assignment of me that I gave you about following those specific people on Twitter and then telling me what you learned. I recognize that you saw the value in the assignment and what these people are doing, what they're doing right. We're seeing people when they go out on assignment say that they're out there, what they're doing, when they're leaving, and that keeps users following you as opposed to just seeing a tweet every now and then. So we're tweeting more. The news desk and copy editors are getting more involved in social media posting and not only scheduling that, but getting that content out there. And live tweeting when you're at a meeting is better, and we're letting followers know ahead of time that we're going to be at a meeting. So those are some social wins there. Now here's what we need to work on.
Amy, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, or maybe Claudia, is that same feedback available for Twitter on how people are accessing the web?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a much tinier number. So
Yeah. Really tiny, actually.
I think it's 4,000 sessions.
So here's what we need to work on. You're going to hear some repetition, but I'll stop talking about it when we all start doing it. We've been taking baby steps the last year. Now we need to take strides. You're all great when you're told exactly what to do, but don't wait around and be told exactly what to do. Take some risks and take some control of the success of this paper, all these papers, all these products, and be a part of the strategy, because that is your future. Be curious about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And really, I can't stress more that the more your skill set, the more robust your skill set is, the more valuable you are to us. If you want to be a single-focused journalist, it really isn't going to work for us, because that's old thinking. We need people who have a variety of skills in their toolbox, and as you do that and you show that initiative, you put that into play, it'll be recognized, we'll see your value to what we have. And honestly, if you do ever leave the Herald, some of you for good reason could, some of you I don't go anywhere. I mean that's it. I'm asking you not to go anywhere. You can. But you're also more valuable to a future employer. If you want to know what skill sets journalists, what people are hiring for, just go on a jobs website and look, and you'll get a pretty good idea that there's a multitude of skills that you need to have to be competitive in the market, whether it's for the daily newspaper, a weekly newspaper, a magazine, an online zine, whatever that is. It's not just a daily newspaper. Continue to keep the website fresh with content. There will be some new strategies and some new ways we do things with the new website at the beginning of October. Keep those updates coming. Remember, you don't have to publish the whole story the first time. If you have 3 paragraphs, it is fine. We're putting in there to check back for more updates. People are coming back because we put that in there. Remember to continue to help readers understand how to consume our news. This is where we can get beat by social media or the Denver Post, is when we feel like we have to have all of the facts. If we have that information immediately, we get it up, they're going to stick with us. So give it to them right away. Stop doing those print dumps. We're still seeing it less, but we're still seeing it where everybody's putting their effort into the print section, and then when your product goes to press, no matter what newspaper it is, you push all that content on once, you go home, you drink a beer. Our readers are drinking a beer while they're reading our content, and they're like, well, I read it all, there's no reason to come back tomorrow. Space it out, you can use publish control you can publish a story but not have it go online until, Friday at 1 p.m. We have the ability to do that. So don't do the print dumps, because that's where we really get in trouble with not having our readers come back to us because they're seeing old news. Photo with every story, we're doing a really good job. We've come a long way with that, but that's going to be an absolute with the new website. Everybody got training in BCIU of how to take headshots or meeting shots with your smartphone so that you have something online. I don't know if I've seen anybody actually do that since we've had that training. Some people have taken it while they've been out and about, but do that. More related story links and assets give people a reason to stay on the website, no matter which product it is. Every website allows for that. Tell stories in a multimedia way. There's are a lot of examples out there to be thinking about multimedia, and we have to continue to get away from photo, story, and headline. That's just, I mean, that's one of the biggest ways that we're really, really behind in our industry, is not thinking multimedia. And there's that 30%. Don't operate on print deadlines and don't spend more than 30% of your time on your print section. We are doing good with SEO headlines. We're writing them most of the time. I'd like us to write them all of the time. Focus on long tail keywords. Use first and last names, not just last names. I saw a headline the other day that was referring to the Animas River, and just the word animus was used. And there are so many animuses out there that you really don't get specific on that keyword. So use Animas River, not just animus, and not assume that people would know what we are talking about. Write shorter headlines and stories. Sports, you're doing a good job with those SEO headlines, but you're also giving away the whole story in the headline. Give them a reason to click. Put subheads on the stories. That's one way to keep the reader interested. They provide those context. And run your headlines through the co-analyzer to see what kind of scores you're getting. Feedback on that, who's using it? Well, never mind, you'll just throw yourself under the bus. When you use it, what do you see? How is that working for you? Are you guys thinking it's a bunch of, well, it's not a bunch of hooey, but I mean, the helpfulness of it? Or people weren't learning how to?
It's too long because I'm using all those long tail keywords, and all of a sudden, two of my 6 words or 3 of my 6 words are getting those in.
Getting longer?
Yeah, so it seems like I can't ever get below 8 or 9 words.
Yeah, and that's pretty long for a headline.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a really successful headline who got an A and the big old smiley face
Sue's
recently?
gotten multiple A+s. We don't like her.
No, we do like her.
She should be good.
Here's some examples of this really long centerpiece headline. I mean, he went from an intern to a superintendent. That's what he looks like. I'm done reading. I mean, I'm not enticed to click in there. Some really long ones on sports too. So just keep that in mind. It is an art for sure to learn how to do these. But if we focus on them and keep doing them, we'll get it. We've seen progress. We'll continue. Just because I said we're doing a good job, don't stop. Send more news alerts. Remember, I talked to the editors the other day. They don't have to be both text and email. Use some news judgment. Sometimes it can just be an email news alert, and sometimes it can just be text. For the text alerts on your smartphone, people are they're more likely to unsubscribe if you're sending them things that really, they're just like, it's really not kind of breaking news that way. Exercise some news judgment just like you do for the paper every day.
And I monitor those, so.
Yeah, Claudia knows when we send one out, and if people find it obnoxious, they start unsubscribing really pretty quickly. Always look at the website. Everybody should hopefully have seen that above the escape hatch, behind where my desk is out on the floor and where Cliff now sits, above on the orange wall, above the door, which don't go in there anymore, they moved all that furniture, and that whole landing area is full of rat feces.
Oh, God.
I
I like those stairs better.
I advise you to steer clear. Anyway, above that is a new screen that has our website that is set to refresh every 15 minutes. Is that right?
Yep, actually 5.
Every 5 minutes. So you can pay attention to how often we're switching out that content. And if you're involved in switching content, keep an eye on that. For some of you, it's maybe not the easiest thing to see, And we don't have a lot of wall space in the newsroom to put up more monitors. But, you know, if we see the opportunity, we certainly can. So that's up there. Print, I don't want to spend a lot of time on print, but I think we need to play pictures bigger in print. Do more photo galleries, get faces in them so that we can monetize. We have printed business-like cards for the photographers when they go to events that are good for making photo galleries, to hand it out and say, look, I took your picture, come to the website and you can buy the photos, because people like to see photos of themselves. You don't have to tweak those. They're just going online, and you don't need to get cut lines. You don't need to identify everybody in the photo. They're galleries. Just get those out there so that people will buy them. Did you have a question?
Just that we're not
Yeah.
identifying people, I haven't heard.
Well, for photo galleries, just for photo galleries. We're,
Photos in a parade or something.
yeah, something. Remember that not only do we have the Associated Press, but we also have Washington Post and New York Times services, and compare those stories. I hear a lot of feedback that Washington Post stories are really long. They're difficult to cut. That is true, whether they're a feature story or a news story. But they're also writing stories that you can look at the New York Times, which they give shorter stories that they've condensed for those people who subscribe. So don't just rely on AP. There are other services out there who may have a better angle on the stories, especially as we're constantly looking for second day news stories. We're trying to, the news breaks at 9 o'clock in one morning, and then if we want a story in print the next day, we're looking for something that's not old news. For communicators, we're not very good communicators for being in the communication business. We communicate our jokes really well, but we don't necessarily communicate what we're doing. And this is really critical all the time, but even more so with Sue. Sue will be in a lot more meetings now as she takes over the position, and she needs help knowing what's going on. She won't be sitting at her desk nearly as often as she is, and that includes things such as if you oversee a centerpiece story that is ready to switch out on the homepage, just don't put it in ready status. Let her know it's there, or somebody who can swap it out. If you come back from a meeting, let her know what went on. If you need to go somewhere, let her know. If you see a story on the wire that could be localized, let her or another editor know. But last year we had everybody sign up on Skype. Maybe 2 or 3 of you are using it. I mean, we shouldn't have to use Skype because, my God, we're all like 2 feet from each other.
Particularly with me in another room, though, it would be really nice if you guys had it on.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's more efficient. It's just much more helpful. We just need to find ways to improve our communication. We should all be following on social media, but that doesn't mean just because we're all on social media that what you saw somebody else is going to see. So if you see something especially related to your beat that is newsworthy, let Sue or another editor know that you saw that. And they might say, yeah, I know, I saw it. And they'll be kind about it. But they also might say, oh, thank you. If you see something, say something. I know that's not the greatest moniker because I know that's used for other awareness programs. But But I mean, share the information. If you just let each other know. It's far better for you to say something if somebody says, I know, than for you to just let it fall through the cracks. Whether it's a tweet, a news release, a wire story, something on the television, a newsletter from some other organization, share the information. I know you guys like each other, so just, talk to each other more. The social stuff that we need to work on, live tweet more often. Remember the beginning and the end. I'm here. This is going on. Somebody's hair's on fire. Okay, the person's hair is now gone. They're off to the hospital. I'm leaving the scene. Just like a story. Look for Facebook Live video opportunities. We've had some successes. We had the Coos successes largely because there was so much interest in that story. Even as Claudia and I were doing the Lucy and Ethel routine out there when we were trying to get the flyover, and I sat and talked for 15 minutes about literally nothing. People still
Try introducing yourself every 2
people still watched it.
minutes.
Claudia, Doug has asked Claudia to come up with some strategies of how we can look for more events to do Facebook Live video. Some of those will be some hired talent if they are planned, but if it's news, breaking news, it'll be us in the newsroom. So if you think it might be a good opportunity, Shane did Facebook Live of the Fiesta Days parade a couple weeks ago. Yeah, roughly 5 minutes. He didn't realize that he hadn't hit record entirely, but you know, those are the things very first, but those are the things we learned. Remember, you can use your cell phone. We have the gimbal to hold the stabilizer for your smartphone. A news desk, remember to post social on the weekends, and reporters too. I should have put that in there. If you're on the weekends, reporters should be posting to social media that's not already scheduled, and if you're out of the office, news desk picks that up.
And we'll have a follow-up meeting about Facebook Live again, now that we have some real life experience.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Podcasting? I just
Uh-huh.
was curious how news could take advantage of that.
Well, that part of that is there's some real strategies around that. We have to have a website that supports it. Currently, our website does not support it, or it does, but it's not that great. We've had meetings with reporters about who's interested because podcasts are seeing a revival. There was not great enthusiasm, but Claudia will be looping around to talk to people after the new website to see who, in fact, got enthusiastic about it in the meantime.
Big part of that is, when you said be involved in the strategy, find the new things that you guys want to do so that we can move forward with things that you want to do instead of me dictating what you do.
Yeah. Come to with ideas. I mean, it takes all of us to make this happen. It really, it's really critical. Any other questions before we move on to Saxa Tech training?
Has there been any news about in the last week or so about the website? Any, in terms of the new rollout?
Soft date is early October. Yeah. So, and of course these things are behemoths, so don't be surprised if it gets bumped a little. I will tell you this in case any of you just had a heart attack about that 1st of October is close to Election Day. Okay, you didn't, but I have asked that if we are not rolled out by the 1st of October that we wait until after Election Day, because we don't need to be dealing with a potentially wonky website if something goes wrong on Election Day, because I suspect this year is going to be one hell of a ride. My first election that I will have not ever been in a newsroom somewhere. If anybody's wondering if we're having the party like we usually do, I don't know yet. There has been some discussion, but I don't know if we're going to do that. The public reception, public party. And yes, there will be pizza. Sue, order pizza.
Sacrilege not to do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
You said that the new website's going to have only 4 sections?
No, it'll have more than 4 sections, but for example, the sports section won't be sectioned out into high school, professional, because it makes it hard to keep that content fresh, especially in the summer when you guys don't have prep sports. So there will be a sports section, but it's not going to be segmented. The same with arts and entertainment. We won't have a Southwest Life section. We'll have health and environment. We won't have we will have local and regional news, national and world. We'll have a food section, an A&E section, a sports section, an opinion section. Opinion will be segmented into letters to the editor and editorials.
Do you say real estate?
Real estate and business. And I think that's it. So right now, there are just so many more. That website was built on a more robust print edition. in 2009, and it's just a different world now, different reality. Any other questions for even if it's Pine River Times or Journal or DGO or AdPro? Before we talk about Saxatech. So long. I will send an email when I leave tonight about who to go to. Really, Sue is the person for stories and such. Mark has been trained on Saxatech, as well as Mike Smith, our developer, and the two tech guys. But once this upgrade is in place tomorrow morning, I don't anticipate too many more changes. It's a pretty big upgrade. So, and as long as there's nobody leaves and we have to change mastheads or anything like that, so don't leave. Make it easier on your coworkers. Thank you for all the hard work the last year. It's been a transition at times. It's been a little bit easy, been a little bit hard. I know you've cursed my name under your breath. I know I've cursed your name under my breath. I'll just be honest. But we all did it together, and we have to keep going forward. There's not an option. So hang in there. I think we've done a really good job the last several months of giving people the skills that they need to move forward. Lots of training, which all those websites are on, our videos are on our internal training site. So use them. And I will send a final email tonight with repeating where you can find all this information. Everything that you do in your day is pretty much, especially with Saxatech and online, between our internal training site and the S drive with some folders, that information is there. I don't think that I missed anything. I didn't add down every single thing, but I thought about some of the questions that I get repeatedly. I will ask if somebody shows you how to do something in Saxatech, please take notes. Don't, it's a little frustrating to show somebody something and they don't take notes and then you have to show them repeatedly. It's just not the best use of everybody's time. So a little bit of independence is really helpful and efficient. And quite honestly, Sue doesn't know Saxatech, so leave her alone. So that plenty of documentation. Saxatech knows I'm leaving. They are paying a little bit more attention to us. They'll be a little bit more available than they used to in this transition. So I think I've touched every part of the newspapers and DGO and Adventure Pro and getting those set up for everybody to go forward. I will, again, put this in the email. I'm not necessarily available to you. I am contractually obligated not to work. My Herald email account will remain active, but it'll remain valid but dormant. Sue has my secret email address. So if you really can't figure something out, go to Sue and Sue can call me. Or email me, or text me, or send any other sort of message. As some people have asked, will I keep in contact? When I'm doing the research, as I'm there, and I find information that is relevant to your day-to-day operations and moving forward to being a truly digital newsroom, I will share that. I'm not holding on to it until I get back. So I'll share that. Some of you have asked if we can be friends on social media. You should follow me because I follow you on Twitter. On Facebook, it is my policy not to be friends with people I work with, but I'm not working with you, so send me a Facebook request. But when I return, do not be butthurt when I unfriend you. So I'm on Facebook, and I'll be sharing a lot of information that I'm learning, in addition to probably some complaints about the cold in the Midwest.
Oh, you have no idea.
I know. So lots of documentation. I've had a lot of meetings with a lot of people. Everybody's set up. So final is you're going to be just fine without me.
Is that us kicking you out of the nest, or are you kicking
That's
us
me
out of the
kicking
nest?
you guys out of the nest. Okay, let's do Saxatech training. These are good things. They're not hard. You're going to like it. I promise. There are a couple of things still to come, some good things. So the first thing you will see tomorrow morning, remember that that Saxatech will not be available until 7:30 a.m. because they're doing the cutover. So any of you who are anxious to get in here and get to work right away, have an extra cup of coffee and I'll pay for it. I will not be gone. I have not even begun to pack my house, so I will not be gone. The first thing you will notice is there's no more Viking icon.
What?
I know. You will now click on this round woo-woo circle called NCS Content X64 because that makes so much sense. That is still the MediaWare Center, same thing. As none of you knew, a few years ago, Saxatech changed their name to News Cycle Content. We just held on to the name Saxatech. So if you ever hear News Cycle and Saxatech, same thing. So click that icon.
What else for this new cycle? What is this?
NCS Content. I mean, there's really nothing else you can click that's not obvious, so that's it.
Big blue
When
circle.
I do it at the Times, go online at
Mhm.
www and then News Cycle
That's-
5 comes on,
Uh-huh.
there's no icon, which is.
There still will still be that black one that oh right, yeah, it'll look like
Yeah,
this.
there's no icon when I do it.
Oh,
It'll appear.
If it doesn't appear, it'll still log you in automatically.
Okay.
Yeah. Still the same login, no password, your name, shouldn't be any change. Come in here, you're not going to see that many changes in MediaWare Center. Probably one of the biggest changes you will all see, and you don't see it on mine right now, but I'll show you in the journal. You will see that for the status right here, they have set it up such that we can make colors for the status levels. We're not going to do that. We're just going to go back to plain text, just because color. So they're going to wizard that out. If you want, and this is all recording, I'm recording all of this so that you can go back and look at it. If you want to leave it like that, white text on black, fine. If for some reason you get passed over and you don't want to, go into this orange cog, go to list view, go down to edit, and where it says access level, it will be checked, check it, and it changes it to just a regular text. It's cosmetic, doesn't change the way you do your work. Here's something that's really cool that's going to last only as long as we still have this current website. And then once we go with our new website, it's going to go away, which is a bit of a bummer. But you can come in here. Let's look. This is a story that has been published online because you see the green check mark. If I right-click on that story and select preview online article. So go to preview online article. Saxatech launches Internet Explorer.
Nice. Yeah, that's right.
Allegedly.
Froze up.
There we go. Internet Explorer. You will log in. Should be in the meeting invite. You will log in with your credentials for the UEdit UI site, and now it'll show you exactly what it looks like on the website. So you can immediately see your errors or your good work. And then you log out of that. So that's a cool feature, whether you use it or not. It'll go away. Last published, you will also have pushed out to your columns. If you scroll over, you will see timestamp, which is the last time a story was updated in the in-copy article, and then there's a new column that will say revised, and that tells you when it was pushed online. Right now, the way you have to get there is to go to view, show history, and see when somebody pushed it, but if you scroll over here, it tells you. It's a quicker way. For those of you who get articles from other publications, you all know that you create a copy on channel. And the frustrating thing, what happens is if Cortez Journal has a story and the Herald wants to use it, we create a copy on channel and we put it in our work set for local news with the Herald channel. And then Cortez goes in and changes that story. And because that's the parent and ours is the child, you get an icon it's a double icon, and you have to go and write forth those changes that they made. And sometimes you don't want to do that because you've spent time editing it for length or clarity or something like that, and it overrides all your changes. And that's a really big bummer. But it's important that you do that because they may have changed something factually incorrect. So now I have this example story that Cortez Journal created, and I created a Herald article of it, and I just did the usual create copy on channel and selected DH, and I put it in the Durango Herald's local news. And so I go and find this, and you will see with the icon right there that it's a double icon with an exclamation mark and says, hey, that original story has been changed. You gotta write forth those changes. And I'm like, I don't want to. So if I right click on top of it, I can say update from parent, but, I'm gonna use bad words. This is inconsistent. Nope, user error. I'm becoming of a lady. If you click show changes, it's going to show you what was changed. So you can decide whether you want to write forth those changes. And if they change the headline, you can update only the headline. And so you would say update article partly from parent, or you can just change the body, or if this had a photo, the cut line. Much easier than overriding all of those the changes that you spent time working on.
Will it do that for AP stories?
No, because it's all a channel.
Yeah.
Taxonomies. Right now, when you put taxonomies on a story, this is one that everybody uses, so this is good to know. I go into the properties to put taxonomies, and right now there's an add button. Stop looking for the add button. What you see instead is this blank text box right here. And you start typing the taxonomy you want, and it'll populate. So if I want to put a front page lead taxonomy, I started typing, and it shows up. Oops.
I don't understand. I started typing.
Oh. That's you, not me.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what we always do. We start typing and then we get to it.
So I double-clicked and it added it. So again, instead of clicking add and then doing a search in there, you just automatically start typing the keyword in that box. That's a big change that everybody will be using. Archives. Oh, archives. Some of you come to me often and say, I get an error message that says my archives are maxed out, I can't search for anything. That's because it keeps a history down here of everything you've searched, and we all use the archives often. And once this will reach a maximum, and once this history is filled up, it won't let you search anymore. So the way to do that is just to come down to your search history and right-click on one of these. If I had a bunch in there, I'd just right-click on any one of them and click delete history. It clears its head, and then all of a sudden, you're able to search again. Passwords, I've harped on you to keep running notebook of your passwords, because Saxatech is the one that changes the passwords. Our IT department could not until now. I still ask you to have some password management so they don't have to do it. But that gives us some control. So if you do forget it, then you can go to Scott or Scotty and they can change passwords now. So we don't have to wait on Saxatech. Much easier. Last week you'll notice that we went to Creative Suite 6. So we're using InCopy 6 and InDesign 6, whereas before we were using 5. Really not many changes for you, so I'm not even going to go into those. I didn't hear. We do have a problem where scrolling with your mouse wheel has stopped working, and occasionally in InDesign. I do have a ticket in on that. That's an Adobe bug, not a Saxatech bug, so they're working on that. In the next couple of weeks, the tech guys will come to your, or not actually physically come to your computers, but they'll load CS6 on everybody's computers. Right now, everybody on your local, not in Saxatech. If you just go to your plain desktop or computer, you have access to InCopy and InDesign there also, which is a disaster recovery, so that if we ever have to build the paper outside of Saxatech, 6.5 years we haven't had to do it, and I'm so sorry if you have to do it while I'm gone. I'm so sorry. The universe does that to you. But that way you have Adobe Creative Suite available to you without being in Saxatech. Let's see, archives, assignments window. For those of you who are designers, you have experienced the frustration, as I have many, many times, when you want to get cracking on design and somebody is in the story and you have to wait until they're out to either link it to the page or link a photo to the story while somebody's in it. You don't have to wait anymore. Yes, designers, you're welcome, from Saxatech. So you can go ahead and link it. What you can't do is change the text format while somebody's in it, but you can at least link it and get it on the page from the assignments window. That's a really nice feature. In addition, when somebody's in the story, you can link the photo to it while somebody's already in it. That's hugely helpful. We're almost done here. You will. Yes. Yeah. You can go ahead and edit the cut line.
Still writing the story and then go.
Should yeah. Once you save it.
Okay.
Once you after the photo's been linked, you have to save it to be able to see that cut line. For those of you who are designers, the new assignments window, they got some really fancy icons up there. They're still the same order. Update. Change the photo, change the text format, take it off the page, and unlink it to the page. Same thing, but just icons, prettier. Let me look at my list really quickly. Think of questions if you have them. New icon, not available before 7:30 tomorrow. The last two things I have are two things coming by the end of August. Wire stories, when they come in, will have photos attached to the story. Really nice. That's coming in a couple weeks.
Will it bring in like all the photos associated with the story, or will it just pull?
If Associated Press does all the thing they're supposed to, yes. And that's not only for Associated Press, that's also for Washington Post. Yeah. So that's really nice.
So if there's like a Bronco story that's 20 inches, but they move 50 photos from it, like are we going to have to unselect a bunch of photos before we web it, or?
That's a good question. You might have the option when you convert it to also convert the photos. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not something I've seen or tested. I trust you guys will figure it out, though. So that's really nice time saving. And the other thing, which is more of an online feature, this thing called Light Editor Digital, where we will be able to post HTML code inside InCopy, so that when we push that story online, a video or a photo will show up in the text instead of having to do it in the Edit UI site. Because every time we push something from the MediaWare Center, it overrides what's on the Edit UI site. And there was a lot of anxiety around the fact that if we paste something to an image to show up in the text, that we would have to go to the Edit UI site and redo it every time, but we're able to do it within we will be able to do it within MediaWare Center. So Claudia and Mike are taking on that task, and we'll teach everybody how to do that.
And we'll be testing that with DGO.
Yeah, pretty quickly here. Again, this is recorded. If you have any questions, you can go watch the recording. There are myriad instructions in the S drive and Sax Tech documentation, how to get a deleted article back. You guys ask me that all the time. Instructions are in there. It's cumbersome. Instructions are in there. How to change the font for neighbors, all these little things that just are not evident. Especially for Pine River Times and Journal, how to get stories from the Herald, create copy on channel, and all of our BCIUs are on our website. So nothing huge, but some nice features nonetheless. Took a long time to get here. That's why I've been sequestered for weeks, is trying to get this going. Again, it'll go live by 7:30 tomorrow morning. And I don't expect anything big to happen. But Saxatech has people on standby in case something does.
Is there a time tonight when Saxa won't be available?
They'll start doing it. They're Eastern time, and they'll start doing it at like 3:30 a.m. Yeah, so I presume you're on Saxo at that time. I mean, they know that we go to press at 11 p.m. and that some people stick around for an hour or two sometimes after deadline. So they're not going to start it until 3:30 a.m. And they have contacts of who to get in touch with in my absence. Is that it? Any questions? Did I go too fast? I know we have work to do.